Okay, so today talking about feet. Please lie on your backs and make yourself comfortable. Legs long if you're able. If that's too painful for your back, what would you do? What do you do to take care of yourself or to please the teacher? And notice where your mind goes as you lie here, and I give you space just to think and wonder, what is she going to say next? Where does your mind go? What do you feel in your own being? Do you feel, oh, wow, I've been going and going since I got up this morning, and isn't it nice to give my body a break? Or do you feel, wow, I've been going and going and my body's so tired and it aches and it hurts all over, and lying on this hard floor even hurts, and I feel it here and I feel it there? Or is it somewhere in between? Where does your mind wander when we say think about your body? What does your mind know to think about your body? Does it know how much wellness and well-being is pulsating through you, supporting every action and movement and thought? Or does it know what hurts?
B.
B.
Kindred spirit.
There's an aliveness, kind of a buzzing, that's kind of feels like a full presence.
So Paul can feel that aliveness of his cells and his body. And did he wake up today and just decide, wow, I'm going to feel the aliveness in the cells of my body? Or is that something he's probably been practicing for a while? Practicing feeling his wellness, bringing more and more attention and focus and imagination to his wellness and his well-being than those aches and pains and creaks and strains that tend to get our attention more easily.
I gotta say, it's practice.
It's practice. Practice, practice. Because so many other things take our mind's attention, our to-do list and the TV and the radio and our families and our work and our boss and our bills. But usually the only time the body can get noticed is by screaming and saying, ow, notice me. So here you are, the opportunity to notice all the wellness and begin to improve some of the aches and pains and creaks and strains. So as you're lying here, notice how your feet are lying. Notice how they are organized at the end of your legs. Do they point downward a little bit? Does one foot point more or less downward than the other foot? Do they tend to point out to the side? And again, does one foot angle out to the side more than the other foot? How do you imagine the length of your feet, the size of your feet, as you imagine feeling the size of your feet with very little feedback from pressure? You're only really mostly feeling your heels on the floor. Does it feel like they're exactly the same size, the same length, the same width, the same thickness? Or do you have a sense that maybe one foot's a little smaller than the other foot? And if you begin to sense those asymmetries, is that somehow disturbing or relieving? Might it be that everybody's asymmetrical? Some more than others. And what about the weight of your legs and the weight of your heels on the floor? Does one leg and one heel feel heavier, more weight than the other? Is the pressure on the heels in the exact same spot on the right and left sides? And then just very, very slowly, very gently, as little movement as possible, just begin to point your toes a little bit downward and pull them a little bit back. And really feel for that very first place of resistance. As you point a little downwards and pull them back just a little, can you feel that it moves easily? Is there a little inertia just to get your mind to tell your feet to move a little bit? Can you feel places where you actually have to press through a little resistance just to get your feet to point and flex? And then just rest. Big workout, big effort. Are we resting the body or are we resting the mind? Resting the capacity for the mind to attend objectively to the movements of your body. So bring your attention down to just your left foot. And a couple times, just point and relax your left foot. Point and relax. And notice as you're pointing, what part of your foot points first? Is it your toes? Do you lead the pointing with your toes? Do you lead it with the ball of your foot? Do you somehow lead it with the arch or the inside or the outside of your foot? And as you point and relax, how does your heel glide on the mat beneath you? And each time you point and relax, feel the very subtle effects on up into your ankle, your calf, your knee and thigh. Can you feel that even this very subtle and gentle movement of pointing and relaxing your left foot has a way of influencing the rest of your left leg? And then what if the next time you pointed and relaxed, you intentionally pointed, initiating the movement with your big toe? So you bring all of your attention to your left big toe and you point, and then you feel how it is that you relax. What is it that you relax? And then you bring your attention to the effort, the initiation of movement to point your left big toe and relax it again. And then shift your attention to your second toe. Now, sometimes the toes all feel like the toes, and we often don't really know how to attend to individual toes. So this is where the imagination can bridge that gap for you. So if you can't feel the actuality of pointing your foot by initiating the movement with your second toe, just imagine that you can and do the movement anyway. Pointing with the second toe and relaxing just a couple of times, and then going to the middle toe, the third toe, and imagining that you're initiating the whole pointing of the foot, starting with that middle toe, that third toe, a couple of times there, and then moving to the fourth toe, relaxing and pointing. And then finally the pinky toe. And notice as you point with these different toes, do you shift? Does your leg rotate a little bit? Does your ankle and foot rotate a little bit? You can kind of return and play with pointing with different toes again. And feel, if you can feel, just a subtle difference in what happens in your calf, in your knee. If you've been doing many lessons, you might even feel just the subtlest shift into your hip and pelvis. Feel how the heel slides in a slightly different place when you point with different toes. And then just pause and relax for a moment. And just sense your left foot now compared to your right foot. These very subtle, minimal movements. Has it changed how your brain experiences your left foot compared to your right foot? Your left leg and your right leg, maybe? And then go ahead and bend your right knee up. And we'll continue the experiment with your left foot. This time, flexing your foot gently backwards. So your toes are coming backwards towards your nose. But again, just a very gentle movement. It doesn't need to be a stretch. In fact, I would prefer it not be a stretch, but be an experience of the movement. And again, feeling how does your heel slide on the floor when you flex your toes back? And what's the effect on the rest of the leg? On the calf, the back of the calf, the front of the calf, the back of the knee, the front of the knee. Is there an influence on the whole leg, on your whole self, with just the intention to move the foot upward? And then again, continue to grow this experiment one toe at a time. And let's start with your big toe. So you're initiating drawing all of your toes back with your attention fully placed on your big toe. And as I say that, I realize that in these lessons we go from the very specific focus of one place, the big toe, to the very general focus of the whole being, the whole body. How does this movement initiated from this specific place affect my foot, my ankle, my leg, maybe even the whole left side of your body? And then just keep moving your way up through the initiation or the imagination of the initiation of the second toe. Feeling those very subtle shifts happening in your leg, in your knee, in your attention. Working your way until eventually you get to the pinky toe. And feeling how if you were just to alternate, and if you're not to the pinky toe yet, don't rush through, but just linger with this thought until you get there. If you were to alternate flexing the toes back with first the pinky toe, then fully relaxing, fully feeling how it is that you let your foot come back to neutral, and then flexing back with the initiation at the big toe, and relaxing, and the pinky toe, and the big toe. Just feeling that. And then a couple times, just flex your whole foot back and point it. Flex and point. Just softly, gently, playfully, just really light, up and down, up and down. And lower your right leg down. And a couple times, just flex and point your right foot. And see if you're beginning to discern any differences between the movements in the left foot that's gotten your full attention and the right foot, which has just been hanging out. Good. And just rest for a moment. Resting. Where does the mind go? Does it focus on something, or does it just get diffuse and float off? Do you start dreaming or imagining, hoping? Or were you told when you were younger that daydreaming is useless? To get to work, to stay focused, to get the job done. I've come to believe that daydreaming in this culture of hyper-focus and hyperactivity, daydreaming may be one of the most valuable and useful things we can bring back into our adult lives. Taking our minds to playful, happy, easy places. And then please bend up both of your knees, one knee at a time. With your feet flat on the floor. If you find that your feet feel slippery on the floor or on your pad, you might want to take your socks off so you have a good full contact with the floor. And feel the contact of the sole of the left foot, the heel, the parts of the arch that do or don't touch, the outside of the foot, the ball of the foot, the pads of the toes. Some people's pads, toe pads, touch very well, and other people have this slight lift. They're just sort of holding their toes a little off the ground, like just in case. And then compare how the left foot is resting on the floor compared to the right foot. Is one foot more sure, more solid, more connected? Notice the stability of your whole leg that's bent up. Is one knee require more effort to hold it there? Do you feel like it would flop over if you dozed off? Is one knee more solid, more naturally balanced? Does that make it better somehow? Or just different? Something for our mind to pay attention to. The Feldenkrais teacher who's coming in 2 weeks has often said that in addition to not fixing anything, just paying attention. Not paying attention and making it wrong, or paying attention so it's not, not paying attention and making it right, or paying attention so it's not wrong, but just the act of waking up and noticing creates changes. Just the act of waking up out of our sleep walking and noticing. So with the left foot securely on the floor, gently press through your left foot and release. Press and release. And feel again the influence on up your left leg as you press through the left foot, and you feel the space in the ankle get connected so that the foot is speaking to the lower leg through that pressure. And then the lower leg is speaking to the upper leg through the knee joint. You press and everything gets connected. And then the whole leg has a way of communicating to the pelvis through the hip joint. Pressing and relaxing and feeling those connections all the way up the kinetic chain from the foot through the leg to the pelvis. And what happens in your spine? What happens in your ribs on up to your shoulders and shoulder blades, your neck and head? Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes something happens and you haven't learned how to feel it. Eventually the body softens and you feel the whole connection like a wave. And notice also what part of your foot you are pressing through. Are you pressing through the heel or the ball of your foot? So intentionally a few times press through your heel and feel that. As you press through your left heel, feel that particular organization of muscles and support and compression. on up through your leg, into your pelvis, into your trunk. And then shift and press through the ball of your foot. Can you feel the subtle yet very distinct difference of the influence if you use the heel of your foot, and how that connects and supports on up into your pelvis and back compared to if you press through the ball of your foot? What if you press more just through the outside of the foot, evenly, the outside towards the heel and the outside towards the ball of the foot? How does that influence the configuration of the leg and the pressure that's created connecting the leg to the pelvis and the trunk? Pressing and releasing. Pressing and releasing. And breathing and letting your face relax. And keeping your fingers soft. And then exploring again the inside of the foot. The inside of the foot's a very different part of the foot because it is intended to arch away from the floor, and we all have a very individual configuration of that arch. And some of us have been told all kinds of things about our flat arches or our high arches. But for now, just sort of let those stories wander in and out and come back to the experience of pressing through the inside of the foot and then maybe alternating it with the outside of the foot and seeing if you could feel something different there. The ball of the foot and the heel of the foot. And then just pause for a moment with your knees bent. And then bring your attention back to your left foot and press through just the toes. Press the toes in, and then let the toes connect to the foot that connects to the leg, the hip and pelvis. How are the toes different from the ball of the foot? And then relax your legs, relax your feet. If you need to take a break from being on your back, roll onto your side for a moment. Just sort of let the whole nervous system rest from this position of lying. This thinking, this feeling, these very subtle differences. So often in life we feel differences because they're big. A big thing happens and we wake up and we notice it. Or it's big pain, or it feels like my whole foot or my whole back. I remember when I was a little girl and I had stomach aches, and my mom would ask where it hurts, and I would rub my whole abdomen, chest, tummy, lower abdomen, the whole thing hurt in my experience. It was really just my tummy. That little teeny tummy in there. So again, roll onto your backs and bend your knees up. Just notice how the left foot is resting now compared to the right foot. Bring your attention to your right foot and begin exploring pressures. Pressing and releasing. How is it different? Just shift your attention after all this time on the left side. Just shift your attention to the right side And begin pressing. Does the right side feel very different? Very unfamiliar? Very familiar? For some of us, your right side might be your usual support leg. Might be the leg that you depend on more, so it's a relief to finally be bringing your attention to the right side. Sometimes after so much attention spent on one side, it's like getting to know yourself all over again when we shift our attention to the other side. And just play in any particular order with pressing through different parts of your feet, through your toes. You can press hard, you can press lightly, you can press slowly, you can press quickly. And notice what your mind does with that information. Or do you tend to be sequential? Do you try to be very orderly about the heel and the ball of the foot and the insides and the outsides? Or do you prefer a more random approach? A little of this, a little of that. A whole buffet of choices. What do you do when you're given so many choices? Always shifting the attention from what the foot is doing to the influence of the pressure on up through your pelvis, your spine, your neck. Are there ways of pressing through your foot that I hadn't suggested earlier, that we didn't try on your left side? Could you come up with your own variation, your own pressing, your own exploration, your individual discovery? You did that as a kid, you know, but then you were told that you colored outside of the lines, or you used the wrong color, or the color ended up on the table or the wall, and that was bad. But you were just playing, you were just experimenting, you were just doing what you intended to do in life. And then rest your right foot, keeping your knees bent. And begin to play with the pressure under your right foot. So it's not so much pressing and releasing, but just shifting the pressure from the heel to the outside of the foot, around to the ball of the foot, up through the inside of the foot, and across the heel. So you're sort of scribing a circle with the edge of your foot, or not really a circle, but you're outlining the outside of your foot, increasing the pressure through each part, moving through each part, and feeling, what does your knee want to do? Does your knee want to move in a circle? Are there little rotations happening in your lower leg and your upper leg, in your pelvis? Are you breathing easily? Let the right leg rest. And try it with the left leg. Circles with the left leg. Or with the foot. And notice, which direction did you go in? Try that a few times, feeling the little circle influences on up your leg into your hip and pelvis and back. And then shift. Go the other direction. And then shift again. And then just pause for a moment. And rock your knees a little bit from side to side. Let your pelvis really move. Let your spine move. Let your head rock in the same direction as your knees. Get a little movement in the rest of your trunk that's been so still for this lesson. And feel the weight shift across the soles of your feet to the outside of one and the inside of the other. And notice, does the weight shift mostly across your heels or the balls of your feet? How even can you make the weight between the heels and the balls of the feet as you gently rock your knees from side to side? And only take them as far as is comfortable. For some of you, side to side, an inch to each side, maybe plenty. Maybe plenty just to feel and to move so subtly. And others of you may be dropping your knees almost as if they went to the floor. Whatever's light and comfortable for you. And again, noticing, is there more pressure under one foot than the other foot? And then just pause in the middle. And with both feet, bring the pressure to your heels. And then bring it to the outside of the right foot and the inside of the left foot. And then across the balls of the feet, so it's the inside of the left foot and the outside of the right foot. Hopefully I'm doing that right. Across the heels, the outside of the right foot, the inside of the left foot. Across the balls of the feet, and let the knees just follow. Just let the knees and the hips and the pelvis relax, and feel that circle across the bottom of both feet. And notice, is it easier on one foot than the other foot? Is it clearer? Are there places that you just sort of skip over and miss? And then shift directions. Pause in the middle. And then what if you came to the inside of both feet at the same time, rolled up towards the balls of your feet, and then rolled to the outside of both feet, rolled back, rolled across the heels, rolled up the inside of both feet towards the balls, across. So one foot is going clockwise and one foot is counterclockwise relatively. And then shifting directions. Are there any other places you can feel those circles? Can you feel little circles in your knees, in your hips, in your pelvis, on up your spine? For some of you, into your shoulder blades, your neck, even your head. And just let it go. Let your legs down, rest. And just gently roll your head a little bit from side to side. And then just try pointing and flexing your left foot a couple of times and just feeling if there's any difference. Pointing and flexing your right foot a few times. Pointing and flexing lightly and easily both feet. Feeling the movement through your ankles, through your legs. How far up your body can you feel that connection? Or how far up your body can you imagine that connection? And just pause for a moment. And then both feet together at the same time, point and flex your toes firmly. Point and flex firmly and quickly. Point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. And see if you can actually get that movement to translate up into your spine so it feels like your whole body is moving just a little bit up and down, up and down, up and down. You're jiggling your body a little bit through your feet. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And relax. Relax. Did you hold your breath? In Chinese medicine, I believe they say every part of the body is a map of the whole body. So as we do a lesson on just the feet, something is being communicated to the whole of yourself. So as you roll to your side and come up to sitting and then standing, just feel how your feet are influencing the whole of yourself. And take some time today, take some time every day just to say hi to your feet, to be grateful for your feet for supporting you and walking you through the world and taking you on this wonderful journey we call life.